I'm never making dice without a pressure pot again, and you can't make me. Last week, I made 2 sets of dice using only beginner dice molds, easily accessible resin, and no pressure pot. Let me tell you, it was a humbling experience. It's so strange to have been doing something for so many years and feel like you really have a grip on your craft and you know that you have skill and you know what you're doing, only to have your main equipment taken from you. And then you realize that you are only as good as your pressure pot is. I know this is not everybody's experience, and I have recently been watching a lot of videos where I'm seeing some really outstanding results of dice made without a pressure pot. But that is just not me. I was never good at making dice without a pressure pot, and it turns out things have not changed. That being said, I do hope the video I posted on Wednesday still helped you if you are trying to learn how to make dice and you don't currently have a pressure pot. Today is going to be part 2 of that video where I show you the second dice set I made without a pressure pot. And I definitely hope to share more insight from my learning experience of casting without a pressure pot for the first time in 5 years, and just give even more pointers and explain a few more things in more complete detail so you are adequately prepared to cast dice without a pressure pot. One thing I want to clarify here, because I did not say it in the last video, I am not leaving my dice out to cure in my 30 to 40 degree garage. That would be a terrible mistake, not just because of bubbles, but because it just probably wouldn't cure. Resin does not like to be cold, and the temperature in my garage is absurdly cold right now. So what I am doing is I have set up my pressure pot with a heat band, and this is something I keep on it all year round. I think the technical term for it is a drum heater, and I just wrap it around my pressure pot, plug it in, and once my pressure pot is pressurized, I will turn that drum heater on. I normally keep the temperature around 95 to 100. I wouldn't recommend going much hotter than that because you don't need to. By doing it this way, I am creating what I like to call a little dice heater in my pressure pot. Now, because I didn't use my pressure pot for these 2 dice pours, I still put the dice in my little heater to cure. I just didn't pressurize it. For this dice pour, I am going to be showing you a different technique than we did on Wednesday. This technique is called a layered pour, or at least that's what I call it. We're going to use 3 different colors of mica powder and a little bit of translucent resin to create a sort of layered effect. The results are really cool. And this technique is so fun because you can do so much with it. You can do it with mica powder, which is what I'm going to show you, but you can also do it with any kind of opaque colorant. So you can use an opaque white alcohol ink or a pigment paste or even opaque resin dye, and you can layer it with translucent elements. You have a lot of freedom to make a lot of different designs by just layering combinations of things. You need a mold, obviously all of your safety supplies, and resin, a lighter to pop bubbles, and possibly a heat gun. Definitely a heat gun if you're working somewhere cold like I am. And let's go get started. If you missed part 1 of my video about casting dice without a pressure pot, please make sure you go back and watch that now, because today I am not going to go into the same detail about measuring and mixing and all of that because I just covered it. So today we're going to talk more about this layered pour technique, and I will just give you any additional pointers I come up with about casting without a pressure pot. As you can see, I measured equal parts resin and hardener and then mixed as slowly as I could to try to prevent bubbles. Now, of course, I did mix too quickly and it's very cold in my garage, so it's still quite bubbly. I decided to use these tiny mixing cups that came with this Tea Expert beginning resin set because I had them and I didn't want to waste them, but I instantly remembered why I hate these so much. They are so flimsy that even just a couple of seconds on the low setting on the heat gun and these cups began to melt. So obviously I wasn't going to be able to continue to use these because I need to be able to use my heat gun to get bubbles out of the resin. So I'm switching these tiny cups into the silicone mixing cups that I prefer. I've said before that I hate these super flimsy plastic ones, and I really mean it. If you don't want to waste, save them for UV resin patching or maybe mixing colors for paint or something like that, but I just hate these for resin. I don't think they're sturdy enough, and you're just gonna end up wasting money on them. Now, back to the heat gun, now that these are in a container that are not going to melt. I am having to spend a lot of time popping bubbles, and this is always going to be the case if you're casting without a pressure pot, but it may not be quite so extreme if you are not casting in a 35-degree garage. For a layered pour, you are going to divide up your colors into different cups. This resin kit came with exactly 3 colors of mica powder, and so that is what I'm using. These 3 colors. There's like a sandy gold, a light blue, and then a more royal blue that definitely has more glitter in it. Again, I am trying to mix very slowly because at every single stage, mixing is going to reintroduce more bubbles. So you can probably see here, I'm still going too fast. This is just habit. I'm not used to having to mix super, super slow. So my definition of slow is still probably too fast. Now you see me popping any surface bubbles that have risen to the surface with a lighter. And you can also get a really nice look at these 3 colors. I definitely think this is like a sea ocean color palette, and I'm not mad about it. I started by putting in that light blue that doesn't have as much glitter. This seemed like a really nice base color, and I'm just filling the mold a little bit, probably about a quarter full, maybe even a little bit less than that. And that is going to be about the amount that was in this cup, so that worked out pretty perfectly. I do find with standard sized dice, when you're doing 3 different colors, these small cups ends up being kind of the perfect volume with maybe a little bit of clear necessary. Now here I am adding some translucent resin after that first layer, and part of it is because I don't want a hard line. I really want a soft blur with this layered pour. I don't want it to sit on top of each other and make a very rigid line, and because the resin is pretty cold, it is going to be more likely that that happens. So I decided to put down a layer of translucent before going back with this sandy gold color that I think is supposed to represent beach sand. Same thing, only using about a quarter of the mold, and it's gonna take the entire cup. Then I decided to just top it off with that glittery blue and then do another of translucent on top, because this close to the surface, it's gonna blend just because of the heat gun that I will be using to pop the bubbles. So I wasn't as concerned about having that translucent layer in between this time. It wasn't quite enough resin to fill the entire mold, or I should say it wasn't quite enough resin to overfill the entire mold. So I am going to top this off with a layer of clear. This is something that's really fun about layered pours though, because if you want the colors to be a lot more saturated, you can just skip clear altogether and just use more of the 3 or 4 colors that you're choosing. If you would have used 4 different colors of mica for this exact same mold, I think it would have filled it perfectly with no need for translucent resin. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to figure out how much resin to mix for something like this. Once again, I hit this with the heat gun while it was in the mold, which is going to soften everything up a little bit and pop those bubbles. And then I let this dice mold sit for about 15 minutes while I worked on that second set, which is actually what you saw in the video last week. Because this was given about 15 minutes to sit, a ton of bubbles rose to the surface, and I was able to once again pull out my heat gun and pop them. I also used the lighter to pop some additional ones, and there were even a few in the corner that I was able to pop with like a toothpick. So giving this mold extra time to just chill out and just let all of those bubbles come to the top definitely was a smarter decision. If you are going to be casting without a pressure pot, I highly recommend only making 1 set of dice at a time. Your work time's probably going to be between 35 to 50 minutes depending on the resin that you use, and it's going to give you a lot more time to just let that resin do its thing. Let those bubbles rise to the surface, and you're not going to have to be stressing about going over your pot life. This dice set definitely turned out better than the milk bath set, and I do think a big part of the reason for that was that extra time that I gave the resin to sit. Although I also wasn't mixing each individual mold slot to blend all the colors together like I ended up having to do with the milk bath, so that definitely helped as well. There is still a small void on the D6, but for the most part, this set is substantially better. There are still a lot of surface bubbles on the top half of the die. The bottom always looks better without a pressure pot. The bottom half in that mold is always going to have fewer bubbles because the bubbles rise to the surface. That's just kind of the name of the game here. I was happier with this Let's Resin mold than than I was the last time I used it, other than the raised face that is absolutely impossible to prevent on that D20. I didn't have any other raised faces, so I must have done a better job with this mold this time. All of these tops of the dice are really reasonable. You could just shave down with an X-Acto knife. I wouldn't recommend sanding them just because they're so bubbly, and sanding is going to make those bubbles even more prominent. But you could probably make these usable dice if you just had an X-Acto knife, shaved off those corners that were touching the mold, and completely ignore the fact that there is a nasty raised face on the one face on the D20. Again, this is part of the mold. There's nothing you can do about it, so don't stress about it. If you bought this mold just to practice, you're going to get good enough dice to just not worry about it. I really love the vibe of this dice set. I think the 3 colors worked really, really lovely together, and they turned out so beautifully. I don't know what ink color I would use. I'm not planning on inking this dice set because, again, I'm not planning on sanding them, but I'm curious what you would choose to ink this very oceany dice set. Be sure to come back next week. We are going to do a full dice making tutorial from beginning to end that starts with the actual concept of the dice and ends with a finished playable dice set. So we're going to start talking about how I choose my colors. We're going to do the pour, we're going to demold, we're going to sand, we're going to polish, and we're going to ink. And we're going to do that all in one video using only beginner-friendly dice techniques and dice materials, so you don't need to buy a whole bunch of fancy things like a Dremel or a rock tumbler. I really hope this video helped you get a better idea of how to make dice without a pressure pot, and I'm so excited to hear about your dice making journey, so please make sure you leave me a comment. Feel free to send me pictures of the dice you're working on. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you. If you liked this video, please click like. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure you are subscribed to this channel, and I will see you back here next week.